Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to give an overview of the new solo module for Northgard Uncharted Lands, and then I'm going to do a full playthrough against the Automa so you can see how it works from start to finish. This module is part of an upcoming expansion called Northgard Uncharted Horizons, and if you'd like to learn more about it, I have a link to the Kickstarter campaign in the video description. It's basically a special deck of cards that'll be used to execute actions for the Automa, and I'll go through these shortly. There's also a link in the description of the video for a Tabletopia demo. So if you'd like to give this module a try, or really give anything related to Northgard a try, you can do that there. It has the basic game, it has all the modules that are coming out in the expansion, and it also has the rule books. So if you'd like to download those and see what's going on, get some more detail on everything I'll be showing here, I would encourage you to check that out. If you're not familiar with Northgard, it's a light 4X faction building game, and players take on the role of a Viking leader, and they're trying to lead their clan to fame or victory points in this game. All the clans in the game are asymmetric, so you'll see I have a clan board right here for the Stag clan. Each one of these has their own special powers and abilities that are a little bit different from the other clans in the game. And the way the players take actions on their turn is using a deck of cards. And at the start of the game, all the players will start with a basic deck. There's 6 common cards that every player has. And this is, of course, in a normal game against other humans. All the players will start with 6 basic cards that are identical, and they'll have 1 unique card for their clan. And as the game goes on, after each round or year in this game, the players get to add a new card to their deck from a public marketplace. So the player that passes first will get the first choice, and then each player will carry on from there. So there's some tension in terms of whether you want to pass early to try to get a really good card, or maybe take the rest of your turns, but then you're just left with whatever the rest of the players did not take. So by the end of the game, there's also a set of clan-specific cards you'll see here at the bottom of my board. And the players can add these to their deck as well during the game if they have the lore resource, which is kind of like a knowledge for their clan. So by the end of the game, the players can have very different decks, very unique decks, lots of different abilities compared to each other. So it makes for an interesting last few rounds of the game. All right, so let's talk about how the Automa plays and what's different about them. So to start, they honestly play a lot like a human player would. They use the exact same 4 core actions that the player does. So if we look at the player's deck, they have Explore, they have Move, they have Build, and they have Recruit. And then they have a couple of wild cards to start the game where they can pick any of those 4 actions. And the Automa will use the exact same 4 actions when they draw cards. And they'll also draw a set of cards at the start of each round, and they will just pull up a card on their turn, just like the player would. So the way they execute those actions is a little bit different from the way the player does. Obviously, the player can just choose to do whatever they like on the map as long as it's within the rules. The Automa has a set of conditions that they'll follow when they take their turns. But otherwise, they do play very similar to a human opponent. Now, one thing that's different about them is they have 2 leaders that the cards will reference during the game. They have a leader 1 and a leader 2. And these are what the Automa uses to direct their movement around the board. It's how they determine how they're close to the player and where they need to keep their troops for potential combat, and how they know when they're far away from the player, where they might want to hide some resources or buildings, things that they don't want the player to take. In the expansion, there will be 2 unique miniatures. There will be a white miniature for leader 1 and a black miniature for leader 2. Now, since the expansion's not out yet, I don't have those, so I'm going to substitute them with a couple of war chiefs. In the case of leader 1, I have Siny from the Snake Clan, and I'm using her because she's holding 1 weapon, so that's my way of remembering she's leader number 1. And I'm using Egil from the Wolf Clan for leader number 2. He's holding 2 weapons, so it makes it easy to remember on that. At the start of the year, the Automa will draw from their deck, and they'll form what's called an action pile. And at the start of the game, they will draw 4 cards, just like the player will. And you'll see this referenced in the rules, and I'll say it throughout the playthrough, but this is called their action pile, and this is the set of cards they have to work with for the year. This over here is called the Automa pile, and this is their main deck of cards. There are some situations where the Automa will pull from this, but it's pretty rare. Most of the time, they're going to be drawing from their action pile. Now, as the game goes along, just like the player, they'll be able to potentially get more cards when they draw at the start of the year. And there's 3 ways they can do that. So if they have any lore in their reserve, they'll draw 1 additional card per lore. If the player has more large buildings than the Automa will draw additional cards as well. So for example, if the player has 2 large size buildings and the Automa has 0, the Automa will draw 2 additional cards to make up for that deficit. If the Automa has more large buildings than the player doesn't get that luxury. They still are limited on their draw. The third way would be if the Automa controlled a forge. So similar to the player, if the player has a forge, they get an additional card at the beginning of the year. The Automa will do the same thing. Most of the time, it would be the player that built a forge, and the Automa somehow took control of that territory. But if they do have a forge, they will also take an additional card in that situation. So later in the game, the Automa could potentially be taking much more than 4 cards. And the difference in how they use that versus the player is they draw those cards at the beginning of the year only. They will not draw additional cards into their action pile during the year. And they will use all of these cards. So if they have 8 cards in this pile, they're going to use all 8. They're going to draw and at least attempt to use them, I should say, every one of those 8 cards. So just to take a quick look at how this would work in the game, I've set up an example map with the player as the blue units and the Automa as the yellow units. And so in this example, the player is controlling a fortress in this northern territory. So they have 1 more large building than the Automa does. The Automa also has 2 lore in their reserve. So let's just say, for example, this is year 4, at the very beginning of year 4, and the Automa is going to draw their cards. So based on this setup, they're going to draw their normal 4. So they'll take 4 cards from the deck like they do every year. They're going to take their lore and they're going to turn that in, and they're going to take 2 additional cards for each lore, 1 for each lore. And then they're going to draw 1 additional card because the player has 1 large building and the Automa has 0. So the difference between the large buildings is 1, so they'll draw 1 additional card. So at the start of the year, the Automa will have 7 cards in their action pile, and that's what they'll use throughout the course of the year to take their turns. On the Automa's turn, they're going to draw a card from the top of their action pile. So we'll take a look at how the cards are structured here. And there's 3 main sections. The one that's going to be used most of the time, and you'll see it over and over again during the playthrough, is this middle section. There's going to be 2 potential actions the Automa can perform. The top one here is what they're going to try to do first, and then the number 2, this is what they're going to try to do if number 1 is not possible. So again, the Automa is going to be using the exact same actions as the player, and on this card you can see they're going to try to recruit. That's their first attempt. So the text at the top of that section will just tell you what the condition is to make this action possible. So in this case, if a unit or an Automa leader is present in its reserve. So that means, does the Automa have a unit available to recruit? So as long as they have units, they can do this first action. And then there's going to be a series of conditions that will tell you, if, since the action is possible, where is this going to happen? And we'll go through this in more detail as we start evaluating the cards. But basically you'll move left to right. So you'll start left. If that can't resolve where the unit would go, you'll go to the next one and the next one and the next one to continue to break the ties. If the Automa did not have any units in its reserve, we'd go down to the next section here and it would attempt to move with a leader as an alternative. And a lot of the cards you will find that the pairings of actions work in tandem. So if there's not enough or if there's no units in the Automa's reserve, chances are that moving would be a good option because they probably have a lot of units on the board, potentially bunched together in a territory, and they'll try to move them out. The other sections on the card are at the top and the bottom. So at the top, and this card's perfect because it has both symbols, you may notice these in the upper left and upper right corner. In the upper left, we have the flash symbol, and the player has access to this too. So if I pull up the player's cards, they have on their clan card, typically they will have a flash symbol there as well. And for the player, this means that they can play this card in addition to another card. So they can play this before they play a card or after they play a card. It's up to them how they choose to use it. For the Automa, This is pretty simple. It just means that when they're done with this card, they're going to immediately draw another card before going back to the player. That's all that means. Now, in order to do that, they have to have cards remaining in their action pile. If they don't, then this is the last card they'll play, and it will just go back to the player after that. The other symbol in the top right here, this is the pass symbol. So if this card is the last one in the Automa's pile, or their action pile for the year, then when this symbol appears, they will immediately pass. They won't do the actions on the card. They will pass, and they'll take a development card. And when that happens, you'll follow the red border down here to the bottom, and there will be conditions that the Automa will follow to select a development card. Now, the Automa's not going to use development cards during the game, but they will keep them in their reserve and take the fame at the end of the game. So just like the player will count up the fame on their cards, when everything's done, the Automa is going to do the same thing, but they won't be playing those cards. So these are relatively simple. It's going to look for this symbol on the development cards. So there will only be 2 out in a normal solo game. So if one of them has a move symbol, then the Automa would just take that card. If there are no move symbols, or both of them have move symbols, it would go to the next, which would be Explore. If either card has an Explore, it would take that one. If it still can't break the tie, then it will go all the way to the right here, and there will be a number, either a 1 or a 2. If it's a 1, the Automa just takes the card on the left. If it's a 2, the Automa takes the card on the right. And there's 3 different situations where this could happen. I just mentioned one where this is the last card in the Automa's action pile. It has the pass symbol. They pass immediately, and they're going to take the card. Now, potentially the player has already passed, and they've already taken their development card. In that case, they'll just take the remaining card. The other situation could be that the Automa is out of cards in their action pile, and the player has not passed yet, so there are 2 development cards out there. If that were to happen, the Automa would draw 1 card from their Automa pile, so their full deck of remaining cards. If they don't have any of those either, they're going to shuffle the discards and create a new pile. And they will take 1 additional card. It does not have to have a pass symbol on it. All of the cards have this red section at the bottom. They would just use that card to evaluate which development card to take. So those are the different situations the Automa could be in, and that's how they would choose which development card they would take. Now, there is one exception to the Automa using this symbol when this is the final card in their action pile. If the previous card had a flash symbol on it, so just like the example I was giving here, if I took this card, the Automa had 2 cards remaining, and they took this card first, and they did their recruit, and it has a lightning symbol or a flash symbol on it, and they picked this card up immediately after as their second action, they would not use the pass symbol. So because a flash card caused this one to come up, they will ignore the pass, and they will continue through the potential actions on this card. So it's just like the player, right? If a player uses a lightning card or a flash card on their turn, they're not allowed to pass and then take a development card. So same with the Automa. If they use the lightning card and then they immediately take this one, they don't get to pass and take the development card too. They have to use this card just like the player would. Then it would go back to the player, and when it gets to the Automa again, then they would pass. The other exception would be if this is the last year, so year 7 in a normal game, the Automa will not use this card to choose the achievement. Instead, they'll use a different set of priorities for that. Effectively, they would pick the card that is going to give them the most fame. It's as simple as that. So the player would need to evaluate both of the cards for them if they're both available, and they'll figure out which one will give them more fame, and the Automa will take that one. If both of the cards give them the same amount of fame, then the Automa will select the card that gives the player more fame. So they're trying to deny the player as much fame as possible, since both of them will give their score the same. All right, let's put these cards back on the deck here, and I'm going to just go through a couple of cards and evaluate them. We'll be doing this a lot more during the playthrough, of course. There'll be multiple cards every single year that we'll go through, but I'll just show you a few here at the start, just in case you're really interested in how these work. So for this one, we already looked at it. It's a flash recruit card. The Automa is going to look to see if it has any units in its reserve. So let's just say they have several units, so they're all good there. They're going to recruit 1 unit, and we're going to figure out where they're going to do that. So if we look at our example map, we have 3 potential territories where the Automa could recruit somebody. Now, the first condition, or the first priority, I should say, that we're looking at is a leader. That's what that symbol means. It looks for a territory that has a leader. Now, both Now, this territory does not. So this territory would be out, this small one on the right here. Both of these territories have a leader. Signy's in this one, and Eggle's in that one. So they have two options there. Now, if everything else was tied, the Automa will favor leader 1 before leader 2. So if were tied on absolutely everything, then the Automa would choose to recruit in the territory with Signy as leader 1. However, we have multiple other conditions to evaluate on this card. So the next symbol is the number of building points, and that would mean that small buildings are worth 1 point and large buildings are worth 3 points, but only if they have a building. These are just spots. The Automa actually doesn't have any buildings in this example, so this would still be a tie. The next one will be the number of training camps. So it's looking for the territory that has the most training camps. Again, the Automa has no buildings in this example, so that wouldn't break the tie. The next one is the number of resources. It's looking for the territory that has the most resource production. Now, if we look at the board, this territory has 1 food, and this territory has 1 lore. So again, they're tied. They both have 1 resource. Next, it's going to prioritize open territories. Again, this is an open territory here, and this is also an open territory. They do not have a completely closed border around them. So we're still at a tie. So the final condition would be distance from the player, and there's a minus symbol there, which means we're looking for the territory that has the shortest distance to the player. And the way we evaluate that is if the Automa is trying to get as close to the player as possible, then we're counting how many moves it would take for the Automa to reach that position. So in this case, because we have a territory that's adjacent to the player's territory would be the closest that it could get. So this territory here would take the Automa, if they were moving from here, it would take them 1 move to get to this territory with the player. So that would be a 1. This territory here with leader 1, they don't have a direct border with this player territory. They would have to either move here first and then here, or here first and then here. So that would require 2 movements. So because of that, this territory wins the tiebreak, and the 1 unit would go there. All right, let's draw another card. All right, this time we have a build card. So the first action is going to say, if at least a large building space is available, we do have one in this territory. We have a large building space right there. And the Automa has 3 wood in its reserve. Now, in our example here, the Automa only has 2 wood. So they wouldn't be able to do this first action. So we're going to go down to the next one. And it says, if a small building space is available, and if we check the board, we do have a couple. We have 1 right here, and we also have 1 right here. That has the carved stone symbol, but it could be used for any small building. So and the Automa does have 1 wood in its reserve, so we can execute this card. So the condition tells us if production of wood is greater than or equal to production of food, build a food silo. Otherwise, build a woodcutter lodge. So in our example, the Automa has 1 food production in this territory and does not have any wood production. So their food production is greater than their wood production, so they would turn in 1 wood. They use wood exactly like the player does to build buildings. It's 1 for a small building, 3 for a large building. No difference from the player. So they would turn their 1 wood in, we get a woodcutter lodge, and then we're going to look at the card again to figure out where is this lodge going to go. So the first condition here of where we'll build the woodcutter lodge is the farthest territory from the player. So this is the opposite of what we saw in the previous card. This is looking at the distance between the Automa and the player with a plus. So that means as far away as they can from the player. Now, when we have that referenced, we're trying to count how many turns or how many move actions would it take for the player to reach the Automa. So we're calculating this a little bit differently because the player may have to cross rough borders while the Automa does not. The Automa treats rough borders like a normal border. It only takes them 1 movement to get across, while it takes the player 2 to get across a rough border. So if we look at our example again, for this territory here that has a small building space, the player would need to take 1, 2 moves to get to them. They would only have to cross regular borders into here, same as the Automa in the reverse. Now to reach this territory over here, the player would have to cross a rough border. So from either territory, they would have to move 1 to get here, 2 to get here, and then 3, 4 to get here from this territory. From this one, they would have to move 1 and then 2, 3. But either way, this territory is farther from the player because it will take them more move actions to get there. So the Automa would build their woodcutter lodge right there. All right, we'll do one more card. Oops. All right, so this one's an Explorer. And when the Automa explores, it's mostly the same as the player, but there are a couple small differences. So when there's an Explore action, we check, is it possible? Meaning, does the Automa have any open territories? And we know all of them are open, right? All three of these have one opening where they could explore. So the first symbol here is we're going to explore as far away from the player as possible. Luckily, we just did that calculation and we know it's this territory right here. So the Automa will take one map tile, just like the player does. Now the difference here is that the Automa is going to attempt to place this tile exactly as it is with the fewest rotations possible. So I always flip it with the Northgard logo up. And so they will place this tile like this temporarily, and then we're going to go through the conditions for rotating to see what we'll do next. So the first condition for rotation is that the Automa wants resource production. That makes this one pretty simple. There's only one resource on this tile. It's a lure. So we're going to rotate the tile one time and we'll connect it. And then that's how the Automa will place that tile. If there were tiebreakers because this had a food on it or a wood on it, for example, then just like the other cards, we would go through the tiebreakers. You'll always see on Explore that the final tiebreaker is the fewest rotations possible. So if everything else was tied, we would have placed the tile like this because that's how we would place it with no rotations at all. You'll also notice on Explore cards that the farthest right as far as where to explore will be a directional. So if we were to evaluate this and all of these were tied and we got all the way to the right, the tiebreaker would be exploring to the east. And in this case, it would be the same thing. We would explore here. This would be the easternmost part of the map. So that's where we place the tile. Now, the tile, we would still rotate it though, because the Automa wants food production, or I'm sorry, resource production. So we would still rotate the tile to look like that. Now, when the Automa does that and they close a territory, they take fame for it just like the player does. So the Automa would get 2 fame in this example. I do want to give just 2 more quick examples for movement because the way the Automa moves is a little bit different than how a player might move. So there are 2 different possibilities. One is a move 1 card and another is a move 2 card. When you see a move 2 card, it will always reference one of the leaders, either leader 2 or leader 1. On a move 1 card, this is the Automa attempting to move and expand. So to find territories where it can explore from to gain fame, or just to kind of remove a unit from a bunched up territory that has a lot of different units piled in. When it's a move 1, and I'm not going to go through all the conditions here, but on a move 1, you're simply going to take a unit based on the conditions. You're going to take a unit and move it into a neutral or friendly territory. Now, most of the time it's going to go to a neutral territory. That's what the Automa is attempting to do. But let's just say, for example, that this territory is the one selected. The Automa would just take one non-leader unit and it would move it to a neutral territory. So let's just say, based on the conditions, it would move it into here. More likely, it would want to try to find it here because it's a little bit, they can get farther away from the player if they do this. And they might just go here. Now, this territory wouldn't be eligible because there's only one unit. The Automa will never abandon a territory. So if there's only one unit, that's not an eligible territory to move from for the Automa. Now, I'm going to move this unit back. Actually, sorry, put that one back, put it here. Now, for a move 2, this is going to be the leader moving with a set number of units. We'll get through this a lot in the playthrough, so you'll see lots of different examples of this. But there's 3 possibilities. The Automa in this move 2 is almost always going to try to, I think it literally will, always try to move closer to the player and potentially attack them if that's possible. But it could also end up moving to a friendly territory or a neutral territory, and there's different rules for how that works. When the leader attempts to move, it will first check if there's any reinforcements available. So if I change this board up a little bit and we say leader 2 is going to move, they could take reinforcements from an adjacent territory. And when they do that, they'll take half of the units rounded up from that adjacent territory. And the conditions will tell you which adjacent territory to use. So it would take the reinforcements and then it will move the leader with a certain number of units. If it moves to a neutral territory, so let's just say it's going to move here, it will take, the leader will move and then it will take half of the units in that territory. So in this case, there's 4, so it's going to take the 2 into that neutral territory. If it were moving into a friendly territory like this one, it would take all units, the leader plus all units except 1. It will leave the 1 here to hold the territory, and the rest of the units will move there. When it moves into a player territory, the Automa is going to move as many units as it can to not outnumber the player by more than 2 units. And we're talking units here, not axes. So in this case, it can't outnumber by 2 because it will leave a unit behind as always. It can only outnumber them by 1. That's just a quick example, but there are differences in how the Automa will move its units depending on if it's going to friendly, neutral, or a player territory. So again, in the playthrough, you'll see lots of examples of this as we go through the cards. All right, the last differences for the Automa are in terms of how it uses resources. So I just mentioned that when it comes to wood, the Automa uses it exactly like the player does. 1 wood for a small building, 3 wood for a large building. It will use it to build buildings. That's how it uses wood. Food is used mostly the same as the player. Primarily, the Automa is going to use this during combat. It will attempt to out-food the player, if you will, or out-axe the player by using its food. So generally, it will use as much food as possible to out-axe the player by 2. And it will do that by calculating how many axes could potentially be used. So just continuing from our example up here, the player has 2 units here. And let's just say, for example, we're just counting these all as 1 axe. Let's just count them as at 1 axe. We're not using word sheafs right now. The player has 2 units and can potentially use 2 food. It also has a fortress in there. So it would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the fortress. The Automa has 3 units there for 3 axes. The most food it could use is 3, and in this example, it would use all 3. It's going to try to get to 8 axes, but it can't do that. So if it had 3 food, it would use all 3. In the example here, they only have 2 food. So the best they could do would be 5 axes. But that's the type of calculation the Automa will make when it comes to using food in combat. The difference in how it uses food and wood is that the Automa does not pay any winter costs ever. So the player will continue to play their winter costs during the game, but the Automa will not. So the Automa never takes an unrest card. It never loses fame for anything like that. It just doesn't pay winter costs at all. The player, of course, can and will take unrest cards if it cannot pay its winter costs. The Automa also, during harvest, if it gets to the point where it has 6 or more wood or 6 or more food, it will make a one-time trade of 3 wood or 3 food for 1 lore. So if it ended up at the harvest phase and it had 7 wood and 6 food, it would trade 3 food for a lore and it would trade 3 wood for a lore. Now, if it had 14 wood, it would still only trade 1 time for 1 lore. That's the most it will do. But it will make those trades to get lore, to potentially get more cards. Not potentially, it will get more cards the next year. And it will try to do that to increase the number of turns that it's able to take. Okay, I've reset the board here, and I'm going to talk through the setup and give you some of the differences there, and then we'll get into the playthrough. So for the most part, the setup is very similar to a normal game of Northgard against other players. You'll shuffle up the map tiles and put those out. You will put out your resources, you'll put out your buildings, and you will put out 2 achievement cards in this case, because there's 2 players. The unrest cards, you have your dice, the central map tile, the first player token, and each player gets 2 food and 2 wood as their starting resources. The things are a little bit different. The first is that you can choose different difficulty levels when you start the game. So in a normal game of Northgard, your 2 winning conditions are either a player controls 3 closed territories that each have a large building, or you play all the way through 7 years and whoever has the most fame points wins. Against the Automa, you start at difficulty level number 1, where you have to control 4 closed territories with a large building, or play all the way through year 7 and win on fame points. That's difficulty level number 1. Difficulty level number 2 removes the large building win condition, and you have to play all the way through 7 years, and whoever has the most fame wins. Difficulty level 3 adds the creatures module. So your creatures play, and you go through 7 years, and whoever has the most fame wins. However, the Automa does not get impacted by the creatures. They only affect the player. So they only move toward the player. They will share territory with the Automa if necessary, but they treat them as neutral. So they will go into their territories, but their effect will not be applied to the Automa. So they are almost like playing against another faction that's just coming after the player. Difficulty level 4 keeps the creatures and gives the Automa an extra card every year. So instead of drawing 4 cards as their base every year, they will draw 5 cards. And you can scale the difficulty up from there. If you want difficulty level 5, the Automa gets 2 additional cards every year, and you can just go up from there. I will say I found the Automa to be a pretty formidable opponent, so I think with the creatures at difficulty level 3, that's what I'm going to use today. I think that's a pretty good battle. If you find that too easy, though, you can definitely just keep giving the Automa more cards at the start of the year and ramp it up from there. As far as compatibility, obviously it can use the creatures. That's what I'll be doing today in the playthrough. The War Chiefs module is also compatible, and I'll be using that in the playthrough as well. And so the player will pick their War Chief, and they'll get all the bonuses and abilities that would come with that during the game. The Automa, in that case, will get 2 axes for each of their leaders when the War Chiefs module is being used. Finally, you can use this with the new events module that's coming with the expansion. So those are special cards that you'll reveal at the beginning of each year, and they'll have special effects during that particular year. They, again, just like the creatures, they don't impact the Automa at all, positive or negative. There's no effect on the Automa. They'll only affect the player. So if you get lucky, you might get some extra resources from those cards. If you get unlucky, you might be paying a lot of extra resources, which can make it harder against the Automa because they don't pay for winter costs. So they might have significantly more resources than you in that case. As far as changes to the setup, when you create your development deck, you will need to remove 2 cards from the late development, the ones that have the silver color on them. And these are the Ancestral Curse and Enemy Secrets. There is no clan for the Automa as well, so you'll choose a color for them. So I've chosen yellow for this playthrough. The player will choose a clan. As I mentioned, you'll have your War Chief, you'll have your clan board, your clan cards. That's all normal. The Automa does not. They have their own deck of cards. They don't have any special clan abilities. Maybe their clan ability is they don't pay winter costs. You could think of it that way. In addition to normally shuffling the initial player deck, you will shuffle the Automa cards, which I've already done. The player will always start with the first player token. So I have that here. As the game progresses, depending on who passes first, this will move around. So if the Automa passes before the player, they'll be the first player the next year. If the player passes first, they'll take it back, just like you would against a player. Then for the map setup, things are a little bit different in that the player will take their 3 map tiles as normal, but they will place their first one here to the left of the central tile. In the normal game, they're free to place it anywhere on that tile. It doesn't matter which direction, but against the Automa, you will place it to the left, and the Automa will take their first tile and they will place it to the right. Then the player is free to place their second tile wherever they want, and the Automa will either place their second tile here above or below to start the game. So that's just the setup there. That's a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and go through that now, and I'll show you how the Automa picks their tile when it's their turn. So I'll go ahead and take 3 tiles, and I can pick one of these to place to the left. So I think I'm playing as the Stag Clan, by the way. I picked this one because I feel like it plays a little bit like the Automa. The way it can draw extra units in during combat is kind of similar to how the Automa reinforces. And it also has a fame benefit for taking over territories or closing territories, which I'm hoping is going to let me overcome the Automa and the creatures. All right, so I think I'm going to use this one first, and I'm going to place the tile like that. So now I'll put these aside. Now the Automa will go, and they're just going to take 1 tile. And just like before when we did the Explore action, they're going to flip it. I'm going to do with the Northgard logo up, and they're going to place that tile exactly as it is to the right of this one. They don't rotate the tile. Now, there is one caveat. If this tile has no resources on it at all, so if it were like my other tile that I drew, if it was like this one, they would get to draw 1 additional tile 1 time. So they would put this tile in the discard, and they would draw a new tile. And if that one doesn't have any resources, then they're out of luck. They're just going to place it here as is. But this one has resources, so we're good to go. Now, the Automa follows a priority set of conditions, just like they do on the cards, for choosing where they'll place their units on this tile. And the first priority is resources, so this one's easy. they're going to place leader 1 and 2 of their units in the territory that has resources. So in this case, food production. Now we did get a creature. So just like in a normal game, I'm going to draw a creature card. I get the Draugr, and the creature will come out and be ready to go. Now, as I mentioned, the creatures are treating the Automa as neutral. So even though the Draugr goes for units, and I haven't, actually, now that I think of it, I didn't place my units here. But let's just say, for example, that I put my units right here. Even though the Draugr would normally go here because it's faster and easier to get to units, which is what they're looking for on their card. That's their first priority. They would still move here toward the player at the end of the first year. They're always going to move toward the player. Now, let me correct my mistake, and I'll put my units here. This is where I was going to put them. But yeah, the Draugr's not going to even think about the Automa and how many units they have. It's just coming directly toward the player. Obviously, if one of my territories has more units than the other, it will go for that one. But it won't evaluate the Automa in that decision. Okay, so let me place my second tile, and let me try to remember to place my units this time. I really want to do this one, but I don't want another creature out. But I feel like I am going to need food badly. I think I might just place it like this. I'm just going to deal with it. I'll deal with the creatures. So I'll place that one there, and then I'm going to put my remaining units in this territory. Now, because I took the top, the Automa is going to place their last tile here. If I didn't take this spot, they would place their second tile there. But since I decided to take it, they're going to go to the bottom. So once again, I'll pick a tile. I'm going to place it exactly as it is. And once again, this has resources on it, so we don't need to draw another one for the Automa. And they're going to place leader 2 and their other 2 units there. And that's it. Now we're ready to start playing. So just like in the normal game, the player is going to take the first 4 cards from their draw pile. And the Automa will do the same. It will take 4 cards from the Automa deck, and it will make its first action pile for the game. Where you place this pile is up to you. I think the rules say to place it up by the year tracker, but I've got a lot going on up there, so I'm going to keep it right here next to me so it's easy to draw. Obviously, as the game goes along and this map gets a lot bigger, things are going to move around here. But just have it in a convenient spot where you can grab it and evaluate the actions for the Automa. But that's it. We're ready to start the playthrough. One thing I did realize I forgot is to put the second creature out. So let me do that now. All right, we get the wolf, just what I wanted to see. So I have the wolf right next to my territory with the food production, so that'll make the first year interesting. Okay, so the player starts with the first player token, so I will get the first choice of what to do. And I think I got a pretty good hand here. I've got 2 feast cards, an explore, and a move. I think I might try to explore first and see what happens here with the Automa. So I'm going to go ahead and play my explore card. And there'll be nothing different here. Again, most of what happens now will be exactly as it would be in a normal game against other players. So I'll just draw 1 tile and I'll try to place it. And I get that big tile with no borders. So I'm not sure what I want to do with this. I think I might just place it here. Although I hate to give the Automa easier access to my territory. That would basically give them the ability to attack me. You know what? I think I'll put it up here. Not ideal, but I think I'm going to put it up there. Although now I'm inviting the wolf to take my my territory with food and wood. We'll see what happens. All right, so here we go. Automa's turn. So, it's actually, I think, possibly the first card I showed in the tutorial. They're going to recruit. So they're going to be looking, again, for a territory with a leader. We know we have both territories that have a leader and 2 units, so that's all they have as of right now. Next, it's going to go for building points. They don't have any buildings yet. Training camps, they don't have any buildings yet. Resources, both of their territories have resources in the same number, so just 1. Then they're going to look for open territories, which they have. Both are open. And next, it's going to look at closest to the player, and this could be our tiebreak. So this territory here, again, we're going to look at how many moves does the Automa need to take to get to the player. And in this case, they would have to move 1 to here and then 1 to here. So that would be 2 total movements. This one, they'd have to move 1 here, and then 1 here. That would be 3. So closer to the player will be the territory with Siny. So they're going to put their unit right there. Now, that was a lightning card or flash card, so they're going to immediately draw another card before it gets back to me. Oh boy, they get another flash card, and this is a double recruit. So this is one difference with the Automa in terms of playing against them. They get access to double moves and to double recruits right at the beginning of the game, and the player won't have those. So this is going to be another easy one. It's going to look at, again, you have to make sure you have at least one unit in the reserve of the Automa, which we do, of course. And I should mention that if a leader were to ever come off the board, if they were part of a casualty in combat, the leader would go back onto the board first as part of the recruit. Now, we've already evaluated this one that the closest territory to the player is right here with Signy, so we know we can put these two units there. This is looking a little scary. I'm going to have to keep these off the tile for right now, but that's looking a little scary, and they get to draw again. Okay, so now they're going to do a move 2. I mentioned during the tutorial that when we have a move 2, the Automa leader is going to try to reinforce first. Now, they can't do it in either case because, now this is talking about leader 1, so that's Signy. But they can't do this because there's no adjacent territories with units. So this will happen later in the game for sure, but for right now they can't do it. So we're going to jump right down to the second part, which is where are they going to move with leader 1. And they're going to move closest to the player. Now, that's a pretty straightforward one. They're going to go right here with the Draugr, but they're moving to a neutral territory. So when that happens, they're going to take half of the units from this territory and move them here. So I'm going to move Signy and 2 units. So that'll be 3 total from the 6. And there we go. Now they're moving closer to me. A couple additional things to mention about the leader movement in this scenario with the move 2 is the leaders will never move together. So if they end up in the same territory somehow, which can happen. If it's the only territory a leader can move, they'll go into another leader's territory. But they don't move with the other leader. So if Egil was here, it would not move with Signy. They don't move together. The leader also will not move into an enemy territory by themselves. So they're not going to just give themselves up for a lucky skull roll from the player. They need at least one other unit to move with them when they have this move too. Okay, so that was not a lightning card. So it's going to be my turn. And I have to think about how to deal with this wolf, which is going to be tricky because I feel like I need to recruit, but if I attack it, then I'm going to leave this territory as easy to attack for the Automa, but I'm going to do the best I can. So I think I'm going to go ahead and play my feast, and I'm going to get another unit out here. And now it'll be back to the Automa. So if I draw this card, this is the last of the 4. If this has a pass symbol, they will pass. It does not. It's another recruit. All right, so this one will be a little different. They have 3 territories now. So they're going to, if they have a unit available, which they do, they're going to recruit in the territory with the most resources. Now, we know, again, they only have 2 with resources. This middle territory does not have any. So either of these 2 will be eligible. The next one they're going to pick is the largest territory. That would be the number of tiles that make up the territory, but they're both just 1, again, because it's early in the game. So next they're going to go for the one that's farthest away from the player. And luckily we've done that calculation before. We know that this one is the farthest from the player, so they're going to get their extra unit there. And I'm glad to see that because I don't want to see more units on my doorstep. So, wow, the Automa, this is the most units I've seen the Automa have in any of the playthroughs I've done so far, this early in the game. This is a lot of units. So I'm going to just match them for now, and I'm going to put another unit in here. All right, and now we're going back to the Automa. So we'll see one of the scenarios that I mentioned, and I actually realized I forgot to put out development cards as part of my setup. Sorry about that. Okay, so they have 2 cards out there. And this is one of the scenarios I mentioned where it gets back to the Automa. They don't have any cards left in their action pile, and they're going to have to pick a development card because there's 2 out there. So it's not just well, there's only 1 left, so they just take whatever's left. So in this scenario, they're going to draw from their Automa deck the full pile of cards, and they're going to use this to evaluate which one to take. So first, they're going to look at cards that have the Northgard logo on them. Both of these don't have that. One is a recruit and one is a move. Next, they're going to look at cards that allow for additional card draws, and neither of these cards have that as well. So we go down to the far one, and it just says card number 2, which is going to be the one on the right. and they're going to take this one. I feel like that might be okay because I might need that double recruit at some point. So this card will just go onto the Automa's discard pile. And this one, the development card, will just go off to the side. They're not going to use this during the game. This will just become something that's added up at the end, although this one has no fame, so it won't mean anything other than just blocking me from taking it. All right, so it's back to me. I think I am going to try to get rid of this wolf before bad things happen. The question is, how many units am I going to give up? I think I'm just going to take 4 of them in here to match the wolf, and then I'm going to use 1 food because I definitely need 2 for the winter. Okay, so I'm going to roll for myself. So I have 5 axes. The wolf has 4. I often say Automa instead of creatures because I kind of think the creatures are part of it because they ignore the Automa. So it's almost like they're on a team. All right, so I got 2 axes and a skull. That's a pretty good result for me. So I'm up to 7 axes now. Skulls don't affect the creatures. So now the wolf will roll. The wolf gets 2 skulls. That's unfortunate, but I did take it out. So those units go back in my reserve, and the wolf is dead. And I will get 1 fame for that. So if I get the first fame on the board, and this will go off to the discard for now. All right, so the Automa has already passed. So I'll take my cards, I'll put them in my discard pile, and then I'll take the remaining recruitment card, which looks like it's going to be very useful for next year. So I'll put that at the top of my deck, and then I'll go ahead and do the harvest, and we'll move into year 2. Actually, before I do that, I do need to move the remaining creature, which is the Draugr. So let me put my food away there. And the Draugr is going to move toward number of units, so it is going to move into this territory, and it will immediately remove 1 of my units. All right, so I'll go ahead into harvest and calculate fame. It looks like just the Automa is going to get fame, and then we'll move on to year 2. All right, we're ready to start year 2. I did the harvesting. The Automa got 1 fame and 2 food. I got no fame, but I got 1 food and 2 wood. I had to pay a food for my winter cost. The wolf actually did me a favor. It saved me a food, although I guess I spent it to win that battle, but it killed 2 of my units, so I actually had to only pay 1 food for my winter cost. Now, one thing I did forget to do is the Automa passed first, so I moved the first player token to them. So they're going to go first this round. I put the other 2 development cards out there, and yeah, that's it. We're ready to start year number 2. So let's draw a card for the Automa. All right, they're going to move leader 2 this time. So just like before, this is going to be really simple because they can't reinforce. There's no adjacent territories with units, and there's only 1 place they can move, which is here. So they're just going to move Eggle and 1 unit. Oops. And that's it. That's their turn. All right, so I'll take a look at my cards. And wow, I've got a lot of recruits, which is probably good because I think I'm going to need them. I feel like I think I'm going to do a triple recruit. So I'm going to use my stag. This is a great one for me right now. After this recruit action, I can move 1 of my units from an adjacent territory into this one. This is great. This is exactly what I need. So I'm going to put a unit here, and then I'm going to move a unit from this one back into this one. So that's a really timely move for me there. I think for now, I'm going to just play this one. I might regret this. I can't actually move, which is unfortunate because I'd love to take out that Draugr. But I think for now, I'm just going to reinforce 1 more time here and put them here. Luckily, I am the Stag Clan, so I'm going to be able to move a little bit between these 2 territories if I get into combat, so that is helpful. But I think for right now, I'll just do that. I don't want to get too carried away here before I see what the Automa does. All right, back to the Automa. Okay, they're going to do a Flash Explorer. So they're going to take a tile, and then we're going to figure out where are they going to explore from. So they're going to start by looking at the largest territory, but they don't have, and I should say an explore action is possible. They have 3 territories where they can do it. They're all 1 tile though, so that doesn't resolve this one. We're going to look at the ones that have the fewest number of openings. That's what that symbol means, the fewest openings. It has the minus. So that would be either this one or this one up here. This one has actually 2 openings. These 2 only have 1. Next, we're going to look at the most building spots. Neither have them. Fewest resources, both of them have 1, so that doesn't solve it. And so the final one is north, so we're going to explore right here. Okay, so we're going to place this tile. Wow, they got a really good one. And they're going to look at the first condition is food. So this one's really easy because there's one food on this. Now, in order to make this work, they're going to do the fewest number of clockwise rotations. So I'm going to do that and place it here. And I'm glad that the Automa's getting food, I think, rather than lore. Although food can be deadly when it comes to combat because the Automa does like to use food. So that could be a tough one. All right, that was a lightning card. So they're going to take another one. They're going to try to build this time. Now, the Automa hasn't gotten any food from harvesting, so we're going to skip this first one here. They don't have 3 food, so they can't do that. They also don't have a large building spot. So they're going to go down here, and this is going to solve their wood problem for now. If a small building space is available, they have quite a few. Well, actually just 2. And they have 1 wood, which they do. They're going to look at production of wood versus food. Now, they have only food production, so they're going to build a woodcutter's lodge. And they're going to do that as far away from the player as possible. So this will be an interesting calculation for that, but I think this will solve it. So for the player, it would only take them 1 to, and this doesn't have a building spot, so that doesn't matter, but take them 1 to here and 2 to here. So that would be 2 away. This one down here would be the closest from here. They would have to do 1, 2, 3. So this is the farther territory. So they're going to build their woodcutter lodge right there. And so now the Automa will have food in future years, if they keep it. We'll see how that works out. Okay. So unfortunately, I don't have any lore, and I don't have a move card. So I'm not going to be able to deal with that Draugr. So that's unfortunate. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm confident I can defend my territory. So I'm going to build as well. And I'm going to do the opposite. And I'm going to give up my wood to get a food silo. And I think I'm going to put it in here because at least the Automa has, no, that's not true. The Automa can attack me. This is connected right here. Okay, I think I'm going to build it here. All right. All right, that's my turn. Back to the Automa for their last card. All right, Automa Leader 2 is going to move. Now we're going to see reinforcements. So Automa Leader 2 can move. It does have another unit in its territory, or it can get reinforcements. So it's going to take reinforcements from an adjacent territory, which they have available here. So when it takes reinforcements, it takes half of the units from the adjacent territory rounded up. So in this case, there's only 2, so they're going to take that 1 extra unit. Now when they move, they're moving into a neutral territory again. This is the only place they can move. So they're going to take half of the units rounded up. They're always going to leave a unit behind, which is fine. They're going to do that no matter what. So again, Eggle will move with 1 unit into that territory there. And now they've got me surrounded. All right, so now the next time the Automa draws a move 2 card, it will be a combat with me. Now my decision is I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7, so I might as well use this card and do a double recruit. And I think I'm actually going to double recruit here. I'm going to lose 1 to the Draugr, but that's going to set me up because I think this territory is going to get more units in it than this one will. So I think I'm going to build up my forces there. Okay, back to the Automa. They're done. They have no cards left. They're going to pass. They're going to keep the first player token. We're going to flip 1 more card for them to pick which development card they get. They're going to look again for the Northgard logo. The special cards, there aren't any. The next one is Explorer. We have 1 Explorer card. They're going to take that. So they get Scouts, which is a 2 fame card. So that's a great choice for them. They're going to get 2 fame at the end of the game. Okay, so back to me. I pass. I'm going to take the remaining one, which is Intimidate, which, to be honest with you, I'm not too sad about getting this card because I'm probably going to need a move 2. Okay, so that's it. Automa's cards will go into its discard pile. And they still don't have any lore, no large buildings, so they're still just going to get their 4 cards. So we're good there. I have to move the creature, the Draugr. And now I'm double checking that I didn't have any other creatures, but I did not. So Draugr's going to move into this territory, and they're going to take out one of my units. And now I'll go ahead and do the harvesting. So I actually already gave the Automa 1 fame for that territory that they still control. They also control this one now, which is closed. So they're going to get a fame for that. And then the Automa is going to get 3 food, and they're going to get 1 wood. And I'll show you how this will work now. So they're going to get, 3 food, right? Yeah, 3 food. So they're going to get that. Now, what's going to happen is because they have more than 6 food, or 6 or more food, I should say. Once they get to 6, that triggers the threshold. They're going to trade in 3 food to get a lure. So I'm going to trade this in. So I'll give them the 2 food back. And they're going to take a lure. And so at the beginning of the next round, they're going to now have a lure, and they will get 1 additional card to play. So for me, I'm going to get 2 wood. I'm going to move that jogger. I've got 2 wood and 2 food. That'll be for me. Now the Automa is really amassing a huge amount of food here compared to me, because I'm going to have to pay some of this for winter costs. I'm amassing a lot of wood, but that doesn't help me in combat. And that's it for harvesting. So the Automa got a lure. I got some resources. I have to pay my winter costs now. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to have to pay 2 food. So I am kind of treading water here on my food. All right, so now I'm going to take my 1 card. I'm going to shuffle up and take 3 additional cards to make my pile. Okay, and then the Automa now is going to take 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is exactly what they have. And they'll get 5 cards. They'll turn their lure in for that. All right, year 3. I did put out the development cards there. And the Automa is going to go first again. So, okay, here we go. Combat time. So the Automa is going to try to move leader 1, which it can do. So just like before, they're going to try to draw units as reinforcements. Now, we're going to have to do a check here because they have 2 different territories where they can take reinforcements. So the first one is adjacent to the leader. We have 2. The next one is one with no leader. So that means they're going to draw from this territory. Now, they're going to take half the units rounded up. And so they'll take the 2 of the 3. And then they're going to move closest to the player. Now, they have 2 territories. They could move into this one, and they could move into this one. So that won't break the tie. So they're going to go for building points. And when you know it, I just built a building right there. So that counts as 1 building point. So they're going to move into here. Now, I have 5 units in here. So the Automa is going to attempt to leave 1 unit behind to keep the territory and the fame in this case. And they're going to try to outnumber me by 2, but they can't do that. So they're going to move into this territory with 3 additional units. So again, we're playing with War Chiefs, so signing is going to count as 2, and then all the other units will count as 1. So the Automa has 5 axes. I also have 5 axes. So now what the Automa is going to do is they're going to look at what I could potentially have. Now, I only have 1 food, so the Automa will assume that I'm going to use it. And they're going to try to outnumber me by 2 in terms of axes. So they're going to use, we both have 5 axes right now, so they're going to use 3 axes to get to 8. I'm sorry, they're going to use 3 food to get to 8 axes. So I only have 5, so now I don't have to use the food. I'm the defender, so I can decide if I want to use the food. But they're going to assume that I will use it, and they'll try to get to 2 above my potential axes. So this territory is pretty darn important, so I am going to use my food and try to defend it. If I can't, I do have some good options. I can reinforce this territory, or I can go take the lure, which is looking pretty good right now before the Automa gets it. But that's it. We're going to roll. We're going to see what happens. So Automa's going to roll first. Ooh, that's not good. They've got 2 axes, so that means they're going to win. So the best I can do is get some skulls. Okay, I got 1. Not bad. Oh, and I got 2 axes too. All right, so we always, when you have a casualty on the Automa, you always remove their normal units first before a leader. And now I have to retreat. So I think I'm going to at least move 1 into here, and definitely a couple into here. I think I'm going to move the remainder into here. So I'm going to scatter a little bit to try to get that lure, and then I'm going to potentially use Brand's power to take that territory back, because I really need that 1 for food. I desperately need it. Okay, so all the food will go away. And now it's back to me. That was not a flash card. So it's back to me. All right, so I've got some moves. I have a feast and my move 2. I have a recruit and a build. I think I'm going to go ahead and build to start. I'm going to go ahead and build another food silo, because I'm really going to need food somehow. I'm in big trouble, actually. If I can't get it, I'm probably going to have to trade away all my wood. Okay, so I'll start with that. We'll see what the Automa does. Okay, they're going to build as well. The Automa does have 3 wood, and they now do have a large building space. Wow, I'm going to want to take this back even more now. Okay, so they're going to exchange their 3 wood that they have, and they're going to get an Altar of Kings. It's going to go there, and that's it for their turn. All right, so now I really, really want to get that territory. All right, so I think I'm going to recruit. Of course, by recruiting, I'm adding more units that I'll have to pay for, but I'm going to start with that. Okay, let's see what the Automa does. They're going to build again, but they cannot. So we're going to run into a situation now where the Automa actually can't do what's on this card. So in that case, they just discard it and they can't use it. But they will draw another from their action pile, not from their deck. If they're out of cards, that's it. But they will draw another card from their action pile since they can't do that one. Okay, so they're going to explore. We know it is possible. They have several open territories, and they're going to try to do it as far from the player as possible, which we know is this one here, because this would take 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to. So I just got done moving this map down a little. I'm going to move it back up. Okay, so Northgard logo up. They're going to try to place it like this. We're going to get another creature. And let's see what their conditions are. So they're looking for resources, food. There aren't any. Next, they're going to look for, can they close the territory? And they can. There's 2 options for them to close the territory. So they're next going to look at building spaces. So they're going to rotate it 2 times and go like that. And they're going to get 2 points. So I'm going to give them a 5 and take 3 away. And I'm falling far behind on fame at the moment. Okay, that's it for them. So it's back to me. So they have just 1 card left. I've got my Feast and the Intimidate. I think I'm going to do the move first because I don't want to recruit and then not lose anybody. Although I will lose someone for the Draugr. Yeah, I'll definitely lose a unit for the Draugr. So I'm actually going to go ahead and recruit again. I'm going to put 1 in there. Okay, we'll let the Automa take their last turn. Okay, they're going to do a 1 move. And this is going to be for them to get out into other territories. I don't know that they can do this. So we have 2 or more units in a territory. We definitely have that. Okay, they'll move to a friendly territory, so it's fine. Okay, so they have 2 eligible territories. They have this one and they have this one. Although this one has it has 2 or more units, but it can't move anywhere. The only options are into my territories. So it's going to have to be the one with Egil. Okay, so they're going to move where there's not a leader. Unfortunately, they can't do that, unfortunately for them. Most units we can't do. Okay, so we know it's going to be from this one. I can skip that. So they're going to move to a territory with the fewest units. They have 2 options. They both only have 1. They're going to move to a territory with more resources, so that'll be this one. It has 1 wood production, so they'll move this 1 unit here and they'll leave Egil behind. So this move 1, is not a leader move. It's just a regular unit move. Okay. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to try to attack, and now I am tempted to do a double attack. But I've got to think about how to do it. The Automa only has 1 food, which is great for me. That really helps. So my first move is definitely going to be into here. I think, yeah. I think I'm going to do that. That would match them. They're going to be able to reinforce with some food to tie me, which is not what I want. So I think I'm going to move another one. I think I'm just going to forget Egil. I'm going to move another one in here. And then I'm going to use Brand's special power. I think I'm actually just going to go ahead and move this one in here too. I'm going to go for broke. So I'm going to move those in there, and then I'm going to use Brand's special power, which says during step 1 of combat, you can move a friendly unit from an adjacent territory into Brand's territory, ignoring rough borders. So I'm going to go ahead and take 1 unit from here and add it. So now the Automa has 2 for Signy, 3, 4 for these, so they have 4 axes. I have 2 for Brand, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm looking good. Okay, so I'll roll first with 7 axes. And really the reason I'm doing this is because the Automa has no cards left. So I feel okay that they're not going to be able to retaliate yet. Although they are going to be the first player. All right, so I get 2 axes, so I'm going to win. and the Automa will roll, and they get, ooh, they actually got 3 axes, wow. Okay, luckily I really outnumbered them. So in that case, they're going to have to retreat. Now the way the Automa retreats is they have a priority list, just like their cards. The first one will be building points. Now now that I think about it, the only eligible territory they have is this one. So yeah, they actually can only go here. But building points is their first priority. So when they retreat, the first thing they're going to look at is which territory has the most building points, and they'll go there. But in this case, they only have one place they can go because I occupy the surrounding territories. So that's the only option that they have. Okay, back to the Automa. They can't play any more cards. And so they're going to need to draw a new one to figure out which development card they take. So they're going to have to shuffle their discard pile. They don't have any cards left in it. Sorry, they don't have any cards left in their Automa pile, their full pile. So I'm just going to shuffle these. Okay. Draw a card. They're going to look for movement. There are none. They're going to look for the Northgard logo, and sure enough, there it is. Northgard logo, 2 fame. Automa's really getting a lot of fame. So I'm, yeah, not looking good in the fame department. Okay, back to me. I will pass, and I'm looking good in the recruit department. I've got a lot of recruit cards. So I can certainly amass an army. I don't know if it's going to amount to anything in this game, but, you know, hey, something. All right, so now the creature's going to move. I just want to double check. Up, forgot again, but another creature's going to come out down here. Whoops. Another creature will come out. It's the dark color wolf. They're going to go there. So the Draugr is going to move first. It's going to move toward a number of units, so it's going to go here. It's going to take out one of my guys. Oh, I just forgot. I did get the Order of Kings, so actually I'm not looking too bad on fame right now. Okay, so they move there. The wolf only has one place to move. It's always going to move toward the player. So even though it can't get to the player right now, it's going to go here. It does not block this, though. Normally the wolf will prevent the player from harvesting, but that won't happen here. The Automa will still harvest. That effect does not apply. Automa keeps the first player token, and now we will go into harvest and go to year 4. All right, year 4, and wouldn't you know it, another double recruit card came out for the development cards. Oh boy, I'm sure I'll get it. All right, so the Automa's going to go first, and they're going to recruit. They're going to look for, they have units in their reserve, so they're going to look for most resources. And that's going to be this territory here where they get 2 food. So they're going to get a unit right there, and that's it for them. I think for this round, I want to take out that Draugr because it's just going to keep bouncing back and forth and taking out my units, which isn't necessarily bad if it keeps my numbers down a little bit for winter. Which, speaking of which, I actually didn't pay my winter costs. I do owe 2 for that. By the way, the Automa got 3 fame. I got 3 fame for the Altar of Kings. The Automa got 3 food and a wood. I got 3 food, 2 wood, and a lore. That was our resources. So, but I did forget to pay the winter cost, so now I just did. But I think I want to take the Draugr out, at least for fame. I can get fame from it, if nothing else. And on top of that, I can try to close that territory. I'd like to close either that one or this one. So I'm going to give that a try. So I don't want to thin my ranks out too bad. But after this recruit, I can move one of my units from an adjacent territory into this one. So I'm going to place this, and then I'm going to move this unit over. I don't know if that really matters because I'm going to move next. I don't know if that was that important to do that. So the Draugr gets 5. So I think I'm going to try... I kind of don't want to move Bran. I think I want to leave Bran alone. And I think I'm going to move these ones in here and just hope for the best. So I'm going to go 6 against 5 for the Draugr. So I'm going to roll first. I'm attacking. I got an axe and a skull. I'm going to take the axe. So I now have 7 against 5. We'll see what the Draugr gets. They got a skull and an axe. So they take out one of my units. But they only get to 6 axes, so they don't win. So I take the Draugr out, which I'm very happy about. And I get 2 fame for that, which is huge. I need the fame badly. I have no closed territories. The Automa has closed territories, but I don't have any. So I really need the fame. Yeah, just as I'm checking my special clan power here, I'm realizing that I do get an extra fame when I conquer a new territory through combat. Now, I don't get one for this combat that I just had against the Draugr, because that's a creature and I could share territory with it. But I should have gotten one here when I attacked the Automa and took this territory. So I do owe myself one extra fame. So I just want to catch that there. Okay, so Automa's up. Ooh, double recruit. All right, they're going to do a flash double recruit in the territory closest to the player. So they've got several of those now. They have 3 of these that are 1 away from me. They're going to do it in the territory that has the most resources. So this is interesting. They're really, these double food there is really prioritizing that territory for the Automa. Okay, so they do have enough units, so they'll get 2 up there. And that was a lightning card or a flash card, so they'll go again. And now leader 1 is going to move. So Siny will move. They're going to try to get reinforcements from an adjacent territory. So the only one they can get them from is here. So they're going to take these resources and put them in here. I'm sorry, not resources, reinforcements. I always do that. Okay, so they get their reinforcements. And they're going to go closest to the player, of course, with the most buildings. Now, that's an obvious one then, because this territory now has 4 building points. So they're going to come in and try to outnumber me by 2 units, which they definitely can do. So they're going to move. I have 2. So now when we do this, we're talking about units only, not axes. So I have 3. Well, I have 2 units. So they're going to bring in 4 units to attack me. So now we're going to initiate a combat. I'm going to be in trouble here, I think, against the Automa, but because they have so much food. So I'm actually going to take my War Chief power first, and then the Automa is going to figure out the axes and how much food they're going to use. So even though they're going to be able to get 2 axes above me no matter what I do, I'm still going to move a unit over using Brand's power just to make the Automa use additional food. So, okay, so now we're going to calculate the axes. So I have 2, 3, 4. I could use 1 food to potentially get 5. The Automa has 2, 3, 4, 5 already. So they're going to use 2 food in order to get ahead of me by 2. So Automa's going to roll first. They have 7 axes. They're going to get an axe and a skull. So they're going to take out 1 of my units. And then I'm going to roll, and I need a lot of axes here. Ooh, no luck. But I did take out 2 of their units. So they lose 2 for the 2 skulls, 2 casualties. And I lose the 1. We're going to discard the food. And then I will need to retreat again from this territory. So I think this time I'm going to move Brand here. I think I'm going to move this unit here as well. That'll give me a good chance to maybe fight back and try to take that territory back. I really need to take that one because that has the Altar of Kings in it. So, all right, let's see what we can do. I think because that just happened, I was going to use this to explore and try to close one of these territories and get fame, but I don't think I can afford to lose that territory. So I now have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'm going to do my flash double recruit. Oops. And then I'm going to use my feast to move and attack. And I'm just going to hope maybe that one of my units gets taken out just to reduce my food costs, although I should be okay even if they don't. All right, so I'm going to move Brand in here. I think I'm going to move these 2 in. Now the Automa has 2 food left. I think I'm going to have to go all out. All right, I'm going to move all of those in. And then again, as my War Chief power during step 1, I can move another unit into here. So now I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Automa has 3. They're going to use both of their food to get to 5. So that's for Siny. I don't have any food. So we're just going to go out. It's going to be 6 to 5 for the Automa. So I'm going to roll first. I get an axe and a skull. So that's going to take out their regular unit. They're going to roll. They get 2 axes. So I think they're going to time me, unfortunately. So I had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they had 2, 3, 4, 5. So I ended up with 7. They ended up with 7 as well. So yep, unfortunately, I get booted back out. So I think this time, and I didn't lose any units, so I'm going to owe a lot for harvest. I'm going to be in big trouble now because I'm not going to have enough to pay for the harvest. So probably the best thing that could happen to me now is the Automa attacks me and takes out one of my units. Okay. All right, back to the Automa. And nope, they're going to recruit. Now, this pass symbol's here. If the Automa had taken 4 cards as normal, they would stop and pass and take a development card right now. But they did get a 5th card because I controlled the large building at the start of the year. So they got 1 extra card for that. So they will do this card. And it's a flash card, so they'll take the next one. So they're going to recruit. They do have units available. They're going to look for a territory with a leader. So both of these desperately need a recruit. So both of those are eligible. And it's going to look for the territory with the most building points. This is the only territory with buildings, so the unit will go there, which is smart to protect that Altar of Kings. All right, that was a flash. I'll take another one. Okay, they are going to move. However, this is for leader 2, so I don't think they're actually going to attack me. So if Automa leader 2 can move, and this is an interesting situation. So Egil is by himself here. He can get reinforcements, so he technically can move. So as long as he gets a reinforcement, he can leave a unit behind and move. However, the Automa generally is trying to attack with these cards. So they're trying to move closer to the player. But he won't be able to do that because he can only get 1 reinforcement and he can't move by himself into my territory. However, he has this friendly territory here where he can move, so I think that's what he's going to do. So let's figure out where he'll reinforce from. So adjacent territories, he has 2 available. And the territory with no leader, neither of them have a leader, and the one that's farthest away from the player. So this one is adjacent to my territory, so that's only 1 away. This one would take 1, 2, 3 for the player to move to. So he'll reinforce from here, which makes sense based on the board. And then he's going to move into a friendly territory. That's his only option because he has to move alone. So he'll just move himself into this territory. And at the moment, this seems kind of like a wash move because nothing really improves for the Automa. But in the case where I attack here and I take that territory back over, now they do have a leader in position to attack 2 different territories, which does help them. So from that standpoint, it does make sense, even though it seems kind of like a nothing move right now. Okay, so it's back to me. I'm going to pass, put my cards in the discard, and I'm going to take, I don't need to double recruit. I've got plenty of recruit cards, so I'm going to take the Veiled Threats. This lets me have an opponent randomly discard a card or I draw a card. So I suppose if I use it against the Automa, they just discard the top card in their pile. But I'll probably use this to take another card. That would be my guess. But we'll see what happens. Okay, so I get that. It goes back to the Automa. In this situation, I've already taken a card. So the Automa doesn't need to do any priority checking. They just discard and they'll take the remaining development card. Okay, so that goes there. They will get 1 fame for that at the end of the game. And now we're going to move creatures. So the wolf is the only creature we have out. They're just going to move here. That's their only option. So we'll go ahead into Harvest and we'll move on to year 5. All right, Harvest is done. The Automa got 6 fame. I didn't get any. So the Automa's really starting to pull away from me here. I'm going to have to probably get pretty aggressive to come back from that. The Automa also got 5 food. So that's going to make things interesting, and a wood. I got a food and a wood, and luckily I had a lot of wood saved up. So I unfortunately had to trade in 6 of it to get 2 food because I ended up with 10 units. So I'm going to owe 3 food and a wood for my winter cost. So that's tough. Okay, so we're into year 5. I think I did forget to rotate the first player because I was the first one to pass and I got the card I wanted. So I will go first this time. Take a look at my cards. Recruiting, okay, not the best. I do think, so you can kind of see how the creatures really make this pretty tough against the Automa because I would love to just go right after the Automa, but I keep having to deal with the creatures. And I probably would have been better off just leaving that Draugr alone because I would have lost a unit and not had to pay as much. But, you know, hindsight's 20/20, so it is what it is. But I'm going to have to find a way to really get some fame. And I need to find a way to use my my clan ability, which lets me get additional fame from combat and from closing my territories through Explore. So I think I don't want to be too passive here, I really need to take this territory back. And I think I'm just going to go and do that right away. So I'm just going to use my feast card, and I'm just going to attack the Automa immediately. So I'm definitely going to put Bran in here. And I think I'll do that. Now, my problem is the Automa has so much food. They're really going to be able to outfood me. And I think I'm just going to put another unit in here from there and just go for it, because it's much better for me to lose this territory than that one. Now I'm going to use my special ability, and I'll bring one unit from here into this territory. And that ability is really helping me a lot. So, okay, I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 axes. The Automa has 3. They're going to use 2 food because they only have 2 units. So actually, let me put those food out there, because I always forget if I don't do it. So I'll put a couple of food there. Okay, so now the Automa has 5 and I have 6. So we'll roll and see what happens. So here we go. So I'll take a double skull. No, I got an axe and a skull. So they'll lose 1 unit. So that will put me at 7 axes. They're at 5. So we'll see what they get. Ouch. They got 2 skulls. That's okay. I'll take it. So now the Automa is going to retreat. And I think they only have 1 place they can go. Yes. There's only 1 territory they would retreat. Normally they would go toward building points first. Then they would go toward resources. But they can't do that. This is literally the only territory they can go to that does not have the player in it. Okay, so that's a successful first turn. I did conquer a new territory through combat, so I will get an extra fame for my clan power. And now the Automa will go. All right, so they're going to explore. They're going to do a flash explore, and they're going to do that on their largest territory. So that one's easy. The only one they can explore from that has more than 1 tile is this one here. So they're going to explore from there. And they're going to get this tile, which looks like a pretty good one for them. They're going to look for food first, which there is no food on this tile, and then they're going to go for resources. So I will place it with the Northgard logo up, and we'll rotate it twice and connect it. And now they're going to get lore. So that's unfortunate, but they will get 3 fame for closing that territory. So they'll just increase their fame lead on me, and that's a flash card, so they'll go again. The Automa, by the way, they just got 4 cards this time. They controlled the large building, and they did not have any lore, so they just got their 4 cards. Okay, they're going to try to build. So if a large building space is available, I don't think they have one. No large building space. Okay, they definitely have small building spaces. They're going to try to build a carved stone, but they do not have any carved stone spaces. I have one, they do not. So they're going to build a defense tower, and they're going to do that as close to the player as possible. So that would be, there's 3 potential, well, actually just 2. This one has a building spot, and this one has a building spot. So there's 2 possibilities. Their largest territory. So we know that's this one here. So they're going to turn into wood, and they're going to get a defense tower right there. That's too bad. I'd love to attack that territory. All right, back to me. I don't think I really have any reason to recruit right now unless I can attack. So I think I'm going to use my Veiled Threats card, and I'm going to draw a new card, and that means I have to shuffle my pile. I'm going to draw a new card. I'm going to hope for either an Explorer or a Move, or a Feast. Feast would be great too. Okay, so let's see what I get. Another Recruit. No good, no good. All right, Automa's turn. Okay, they're going to try to build again. They definitely can't build a large building. They don't have enough wood, so they can build a small building. They're going to try to build a carved stone, can't do it. So they're going to try to build a training camp. I think at this point, they have 2 options available, but they're always going to try to build training camps close to the player. So it's going to go right here. So they're going to turn in another wood, and they're going to get a training camp. Uh-oh, this is going to make it tough for me, for sure. And that was a flash card, so they go again. Okay, they're going to recruit. They have units in their reserve, so they're going to go for most resources. That's going to be this territory right here. Okay, so they're going to go there. All right, and that's it for the Automa. That was not a pass card. Actually, it didn't matter anyway because it was a flash card before it. But that's it for them. So it comes back to me. I'm definitely going to have to use my lore to cycle here. These cards are just no good. So I'm going to use that one. I'm going to cycle out the lore and take another card. Oh my goodness. I'm having flashbacks to the last time I did this. All right, the Automa's up. They're going to pass. They have to draw a new card to figure out what they're going to take. So they're going to go for Northgard logos. There are none. movement, they're going to take this one. Infiltration, which has a movement symbol. No fame though, so that's good for me. I'm going to need all the fame I can get at this point. I'll give this one up. I'll trade my lore in again. I'll take another one. There we go. We got a feast. Okay, so now I'm more tempted to recruit and then attack the Automa. I can move a unit from an adjacent territory into this one. So I'm going to put my unit in here, and then I'm going to take one of these. I think I'll use this to explore. I think that's going to be my thought process, because I feel like the combat's not going to go my way, and I'm going to end up just wasting a move here. Okay, so this is what I get up. There's a creature. That's not good. All right, but I get a lore, which is good. Is there some way I could keep this creature away from me? That's okay. I'm going to do it. If it's a Valkyrie, it is what it is. I won't get my lore this winter, but I'm going to take that, and I'm going to take the extra. So I'll get an extra fame. I finally get to use my clan ability when I close a territory through explore. I'm going to get extra fame. So I'm going to get 4 fame for that. So that really helps me. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Oh yeah, I knew it. All right, so that really changes things up. I think I'm just going to go ahead and pass. I don't know. I don't want to pay 3 food and a wood. I need to preserve my resources. So I'll take that one. And that's going to be it. So I passed. We're going to go into the creature movement phase. So the wolf can only go here. So we'll go there first. The Valkyrie is going to go toward resources first. And you know what? I was wrong. It's actually going to go here because it goes toward resources. But that's okay. I think that's, oh boy, that's going to be terrible if I lose this though. Okay, now I'm really glad I didn't recruit, because if I lose this, that's going to be bad. Okay, so the Valkyrie moves in here and we're going to have a combat. So luckily I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm not doing too bad against the Valkyrie, but I don't have high hopes here. Okay, they'll roll first. Ooh, they get 2 skulls. That's really good, all things considered, because I actually have a chance to win now. I'd love to take this Valkyrie off and get the 4 fame right away. Oh, I got an axe. I think that's all I needed, right? I took these guys off too fast, but I had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I actually win. Wow, I can't believe it. I actually took it out. Oh my goodness. Wow, that was huge. Okay, so I actually get 4 more fame for that. That was unbelievable. I can't believe I pulled that off. Lots of dice luck for me there. Okay. Ooh, that helps a lot going into winter, because I didn't lose that huge territory with lots of resources. Okay, wow. All right, well, we'll go into harvest. All right, heading into year 6, we did the harvest. The Automa got 5 fame, and I also got 5 fame because I now have a closed territory, and then I also had the Altar of Kings. So we were even up on fame, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the Automa. The Automa got 3 food, but that put them to 6 because they didn't really get a chance to use their food, too much of it last round. So they immediately exchanged a 3 for a lore. So I wanted to show this because this is pretty much the same example as the tutorial. So the Automa is going to get, I have 1 card here that they had left over, and then they're going to get 3 more. So there's 3 for their base. They're going to turn their 2 lore in to get 2 more cards. And then they're going to get 1 because I control the large building. So they're going to get 7 total cards for year 6. So they'll have a lot of actions this round. So there's the 7 cards that they get. Now for me, I do have to pay my winter costs. So I have I have 7. So I have to pay 2 food for my winter costs. But wow, I still can't believe I took out that Valkyrie. I really thought I was going to lose that territory. I was so upset when I saw that they're going to go toward the resources and try to take that big territory. But wow, I got super lucky. So feeling really good about that. I might actually have a chance here. Okay, as the fame stands right now, the Automa has 22 and I have 21. So I got a lot for that. That Valkyrie really helped. And also just taking out the creatures in general has helped me. But I think in order to win the game, I'm definitely either going to have to close a good number of territories. I'm really going to have to take it to the Automa, one of the two. Of course, all my recruit cards are now on my discard, so I might have trouble building up enough of an army to make that happen. But we'll see what happens here. Okay, so the Automa definitely passed first. Last time they got the first card, so they're going to go first. All right, they're going to explore. And they're going to do this in their largest territory, which they don't really have. And actually, this is the only territory where they can explore. So Now, this isn't going to help me break the tie here because they're, obviously all of these things are tied. They only have one place where they can explore. And the tiebreaker at the end is south. But it's east or west here. So it looks like it's going to be up to the player exactly which side they go. And I'm definitely going to pick this side because I don't want them to. Although, no, you know what? Maybe I will, because that'll give me an opportunity to maybe sneak in and take this. But anyway, we'll see what the tile looks like. Let's do that first. Okay, it looks like this. And they're going to go for, they won't be able to, there's no wood, they can't close it, and they'll go for resources. So the fewest number of clockwise rotations would be this. I can't place it here because that would be illegal, because I'm going to be closing it with my territory as well. So that can't happen. I could, if I put it back here, I could close it like this. But I think it's fewest number of clockwise rotations, so I don't think I can do that though. Fewest number would be over here. It would be 1, 2. So I'll put it here. I think that actually makes the most sense given the rules to put it there. So, all right, so that's the Automa. So let's see what I've got going on here. Okay, I've got some move, and I do have, oh yeah, I got the recruit from last time. So I do have the ability to recruit, which might be a good opening move to do that and try to get something going there with the recruiting and potentially starting some combat. So let me play that one. And this says I get recruit 1 unit per wood in each of your territories, including buildings. So I'll get 1 there, and I'll get 1 there. Okay, so that's my turn, Automa's turn. Okay, they're going to recruit as well. So they're going to go for the territory with the most resources. We know that's this one here. So they're going to put more there. So they're definitely building up a little bit of a force in that high resource territory, which is smart. That's a good one to protect for them. Okay, back to me. So the question is, do I want to come after the Automa now? I could use this. I really can't, I cannot afford to lose this territory now. I have to be really careful about that one. But if I got this territory, that would be really great. So I do have some food. I think I will use this. I think I'm going to try to go for this territory, even though that doesn't give me fame, which is unfortunate. I could also try to take this one and get the fame and try to keep it out of the hands of the Automa. Maybe I'll do that. All right, I'm going to move this one here, and then I'm going to move in with these two. I don't know if this is really a great move. Then I'm going to get stuck with the wolf somehow. I'm going to get stuck with the wolf anyway. That's okay. I'm going to go for it. All right, so the Automa only has 1 unit. It's going to use a food to try to match me. So I have 2 axes. It has 1. It uses a food to get an extra axe, and I'll use a food to get an extra axe as well. So I'll be winning 3 axes to 2. So we'll see if this was a smart move or not. Ooh, well, I'm going to win as long as I don't roll 3 skulls. Or 2 skulls, sorry. Oh, they rolled 3 axes as well, so I win. Good thing I used the food. So I'll take that. So they're going to retreat to most building points, so that's going to be right behind them here. And I take this one over, which is actually pretty cool, because now I have a training camp, and that will help me recruit faster, but I don't have any recruit cards. Oh well. Okay, back to the Automa. Oh, and I conquered a territory with combat, so I get another fame. Okay, now that clan power is starting to really pay off. All right, Automa's going to try to explore again. We know they only have 1 territory to do it. Again, all these will be tied because it's only 1 territory, and so they're going to explore to the east. So this time it helps because I know they can explore to the east. All right, there's their tile. Uh-oh, creature coming out. And they're going to go for resources. We don't have any. They're going to go to close the territory. So that would be these 2, but they're going to want building spots. Oh, they can't close the territory. I'm sorry. None of these will completely close it because this is open. So they're going to go for building spots, and they're going to go for fewest rotations. So it'll go like that. Okay. All right, so now I've got some interesting options for what I want to do. I unfortunately can't build a large building. Actually, I think I'm going to use the build, and I'm going to build my own defense tower. I think I'm going to build it. So the Automa, when they move to attack, they have to use a leader. So they're not going to be able to attack me here yet. So I'm going to build it here because that's probably the most likely place they're going to go. I mean, they might go for fewest units and go here, but I'm just going to have to give that one up. Okay, here we go. Automa's going to try to attack. So they're going to try to get units from an adjacent territory. So both leaders are here. We're looking at leader 2. Remember, the leaders don't move together, so Signy's going to stay back. So Eggle's going to take from this territory, they're going to take half of the units and move them into here. And then they're going to attack the closest territory to me. They have 2 options, this one or this one. They're going to go for the territory with the fewest units. So they're going to attack this one, which is pretty much exactly the scenario I just talked about. So they're going to move Eggle, and they're going to move 2 units into here because they can only outnumber me by 2. And then they're going to look at what's my potential axes. 1. I have no food. So they've got 4 to 1. So I need a miracle here. I actually don't think I can win because the only way they don't roll any axes is if they roll 2 skulls, which would kill my unit. But that's okay. Like I said, I'm okay with giving this one up if I have to. All right. Oh boy, they rolled 3 axes. Okay, so now I'm hoping I just roll skulls. Oh, I did. Okay, these guys are gone, and I have to move out. And I think I'm going to move him into that territory. Okay. That's interesting. So I took the other 2 units out, which leaves this open to attack. And I think I could attack if I wanted to, but I don't think I want to. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cycle this card. I really want to upgrade a card, but I don't have the lore for it. And of course, I'm spending the lore now. So let's see what we get. Ooh, an explorer. Yeah, I can explore. Okay, great. That's good. All right, Automa's up again. Okay, they're going to recruit. They're going to go for a leader with the most building points. That's going to be here. So Eggle is a leader, and he has building points in his territory. So he will recruit there, which makes a lot of sense. Okay, he's going to try to attack again, and he can. He will be able to. So he's going to take resources from an adjacent territory, so he actually can take them from either of these. He's going to try to take them from a territory that does not have a leader. That's what that symbol there means, no leader, so that's going to be this territory, so he'll be able to take 1. And then he's going to attack the player, of course, or move toward the player in the territory with the fewest units, so he's going to attack me here. Okay. This may show that it was not really a great move for me to have taken this territory. All right, so the Automa has 3 axes, I have 2. I cannot use any food. So even though he could use 2 food, he's only going to use 1 because that will get him to 4 axes. He'll outnumber me by 2. So it'll be 4 to 2. So Automa's going to roll first. And that's it. I'll take them out. Hopefully I can return in kind and take out 2 units. No, but I'll take the skull. And you always, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when you get a casualty against the Automa, you always take their regular units before the leader. So Eggle will stay in there with the wolf. I lose 2 more units, and I'm starting to look thin, and I really wish I had those recruit cards now. Oh, well. All right. Well, that did not work out for me, so I'm actually in a much worse position than I was at the start of the year, so that's unfortunate. I guess I'm going to try to explore. I need to try to do something here, so I'll use my explore. Take 1 here, and of course I can't use this to close the territory. Oh boy, that'll make that so much worse. I think I'll just do that. That'll give me food. And it'll also sort of put a border here if I want to eventually close this huge territory. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it though. It's just going to take me too long. Okay, that's it for me. Okay, Automa's going to double recruit closest to the player with the most resources. I think we've established this a few times now. That's right here. But this is good for the Automa getting reinforcements, but it's not good for them otherwise because they just can't attack from here. But to be honest with you, it's pretty good for them to just sit and turtle in that territory and keep all the resources. All right, this was kind of a disastrous year for me. I really didn't make any progress whatsoever. I'm in a far worse position, but I did keep my territories, so I guess that's okay. Okay, the good news is now I don't have to, the wolf's not going to affect me. But the Automa went, so I get to pass first, and I get to take the card I want, and I'm going to probably just ignore that territory. I'm going to take this card to get a 2 move with 2 extra axes. That should prove really helpful in the last year. The Automa's going to go, it doesn't matter for them. They're going to take this one. I am giving them 2 fame by giving that up, which probably is stupid. Let me see, actually. Is that stupid? Now, because I can win combats and get fame with this, so hopefully that'll make up for it. All right, on my discards, and the wolf will move. The wolf is going to move toward resources, so it can't get to the player, so it's just going to go here. But again, it doesn't matter. The Automa is still going to get those resources. So, okay, we'll harvest, and we'll get ready for the final year. All right, we're ready for year 7. Fame was the same again, 5 each for the fame. There really was no difference in, even though we swapped some territories, it didn't change the fame at all. Automa got 5 food again, and they traded in 3 of it for another lore. So they're going to get 7 cards again. They have 2 lore, and I still control the large building on the board, so they're going to get 7 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so they're going to have a lot of actions again. I only have my 4. I do have 3 lore now, so I'm really hoping I'll be able to upgrade and hopefully turn this into something, but we'll see. I do have to pay my winter costs, so I have 7 units, so I have to turn in 2 of my food, so I'm going to be strapped for food again. I really wish I had one of those flash recruits now. You know what? I think I'm going to cycle this card out. I'm going to hope I get one of these double recruits. Yes, I got one. Okay, cool. All right. It all depends on what the Automa does, though. That'll change everything. Okay, so they're going to try to attack first. They're going to take units from an adjacent territory. This is going to be Signy, leader 1. So she's going to take these 2 in, and then she's going to attack as close as... Oh, she can only attack one place. What am I thinking? So I have 4 units in there, so she can only match me. She has to leave a unit behind, so she's going to attack me with 4. And then we both have the same number of axes. Now I have my clan ability, and I am going to use it. I'm going to bring this one in here, and that's going to give me 3, 4, 5, 6, and she has 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I'm doing this to make her use all of her food, which she's going to use. So she's going to use all 3 food in this combat, and I have to think about if I want to do it, if I want to match her on food. I guess I will. Again, I have another card that lets me get additional access, so maybe I'll just hang on. I'll just rely on that one. So, okay, so she's going to attack first. You know, now that I think about it, it's like I don't know. I mean, it does have the Altar of Kings. I was going to say I could use this as an opportunity to try to spread out a little bit, kind of like a free move, but I do have the Altar of Kings, so I would like to defend it. All right, so again, she has 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. She gets an axe and a skull. That's not too bad. And I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's not too bad. I need 2 axes or better to hang on to the territory. Ooh, and I got it. I got the 2 axes. Wow, I made them waste all that food. That's great. Okay, I've been getting lucky here with the with the dice, but I haven't really been able to make it turn into anything. So yeah, so that's... Oh, and you know what? Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot another creature came out. Okay, that was supposed to be a brown bear. I'm so sorry. That would go here. That would have gone here, and that would move toward building, so it would go here again. It can't get to the player, so it's just going to go there for now. So I'm getting lucky on the creatures a little bit too, other than that Valkyrie. But sorry, I just noticed that this came out and that needed to go there. Okay, so the Automa is going to retreat. They're going to go to the territory with the most building points, so the only option they have is right here. So unfortunately, the territory that I wanted to attack isn't an option anymore. So, all right, so the Automa went there. Yeah, and I lost 1 unit. Okay, back to me. I'm going to definitely get my double recruit out there and just reinforce this territory. This territory pretty much lets me get almost anywhere. I can't get here, but I don't really think I want to attack that one. I'm definitely going to be looking at these territories here as easy fame. So I'll play that one, and we'll let the Automa go. All right, they're going to try to explore, which they can do, and this will be really unfortunate if they can close this territory. So they can do it from here or from here. And yep, they're going to close it. So they're going to go for it. Now let's see where they're going. Their largest territory, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That doesn't break the tie. Fewest openings. They both only have 1. Most building spots. Now this is building spots, not points. So they both only have 1 here. And fewest resources. They both have the same to the north. So this is farther north than this, so I'm just going to go with that. They're going to go for resources, so they are going to close this territory. So that's really unfortunate. That's probably going to lose me the game. But that'll be 4 fame for them. So that will probably do it for me, unless I get really lucky. It's going to be hard to come back from that one. Okay, flash card, they'll go again. Okay, they're going to recruit in the territory with the most resources. We've done this a few times, but now this one is tied for 3. So largest territory, this one is 4 That one is 3. That's too bad. That would have been better if they didn't recruit there. But all right, I'm going to have to get really creative now in how I do this. I think I'm going to start off with move, and I'm going to just go after this one because it's an easy target. And yeah, I'm going to move in with Bran. The Automa has no food left. That is going to leave this a little bit undefended, and I'm almost certainly going to lose these resources because of the wolf. So I got to be careful. I don't want to take an unrest card. I have very little chance of winning as it is, and I don't want to take an unrest card. So I think I'm going to go with 3. I'm going to move these 3 in here. I think we'll go with that. Okay, so I'm going to attack. It's 4 axes to 1. Yeah, I definitely don't want to do anything else. Okay, that'll do it. Take him out. So I'll just hope he rolls axes only. Oh, horrible. Wow. Oh my. Okay, well, I did win. I do get a fame for that. But wow, that was devastating. All right, the luck is gone. All right, they go. So they're going to build. They can build a large building. Yeah, they're definitely going to. This territory is gone now, so they're going to build a fortress. That's totally out of reach of me at this point. Okay, that was a flash build, so they're going to go again. Just double checking they didn't have other large buildings. Nope, just that one. Okay, now Sani's going to move, and I'm going to regret attacking. So they're going to take reinforcements, but there aren't any nearby. They can't do it, so they're going to move toward the player with the most building points. Coming in here, and they're almost certainly going to win, unless I get really, really lucky. So they have, well, I guess I could hang. We'll see. Oh, no, they can move this one too, so they can outnumber me. So I have 3. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm almost certainly going to lose this territory. Oh, boy. Okay. So Sani has 2 plus 4, so they have 6. I only have 3. I do have a defense tower, which will knock out one of their units. But, yeah, I'm in big trouble here. And I did do this right? They have 5 against 3, yeah. 5 units to 3. Oh, boy. Well, I have a chance to hang on to this now. But, wow, they're just decimating my troops. All those recruit cards I had, they're all gone. All right. Ooh, I got 2 axes and a skull. I think I will win. So, hold on. Let me go back and do this. So, it was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I had 3. No, I still lose. After all, they had 6. Wait, was that right? They had 6, and I had 3. Yeah, that's right. Oh, my. All right, I still lose. Wow, that's... okay. Well, it was fun. And back to me. So I can't attack. I could only recruit 1 unit. And then try to attack. I mean, I'm going to move this unit here for now. Oh boy, this is so bad. I mean, I guess at this point there's no, I can't upgrade anymore, so I may as well redraw. I'm going to need this to have any prayer. Yeah, whatever. I'll just draw another card. There we go. That's what I was looking for. All right, Automa goes. They're going to try to build again. They cannot build a large because they only have 1 food. Or I'm sorry, 1 wood. So they're going to go down and try to build a carved stone. Which, can they do that now? No, they can't. So they're going to build another defense tower. They're going to do that as close to the player as possible in their largest territory. So that'll be right there. Okay, back to me. So I'm going to use my flash recruit. I'm going to put a couple here with Bran. And I have to think about what's my best chance. This is it. I mean, this is pretty much it for me. I can do a 2 move. Could I potentially win 2 territories? The Automa has just 1 card left. I don't know. I feel like I have to take this one back. That's worth 3 fame. All right, I almost made a dumb move, and I was going to attack here, but then I realized this wolf is going to move there and prevent me from harvesting, so it would be a complete waste of time to do that. So I think what I'm going to do instead is I have to be careful here because this territory has a defense tower, so it's very likely if I only attack with 2 that I could get wiped out. I really want to try to attack here and try to win both of them, but I might just not be able to do that. I think what I might do is just send this one in and just hope for the best, because I get the 2 axes either way for any combats that are generated. And then, oh boy, that's going to be really, really risky if I do that. I think I'm just going to do this, and I'm just going to hope to win both combats and get an extra fame after I give that one up. I think it's worth a shot. So we'll do this one first. I'm going to lose 1 unit. I'll roll first. So I have 4 axes, and they have 2. Actually, no, excuse me. I have 6 axes, and they have 2. So I'm going to win no matter what. I just have to hope they don't roll two skulls. So I get 2 and a skull. So that gets rid of that one. Then they're going to roll, and they get 2 and a skull. Take this other one out, but I do win this territory. So this one goes away. They're going to retreat to building points, but they don't have an option to do that. So they go for resources next, and then I think they go for a friendly or neutral closed territory. Okay, they actually go for the largest territory. So I suppose that'd be this one. It takes up 2, so they'll just go there. The next tiebreaker after that is just any friendly or neutral adjacent territory. So I think for now they'll go here. That's the largest territory. All right, so we're gonna go here. I have 3 axes. Egil has 2. I have a feeling we might both get wiped out on this one. Oh, and I need to get my fame before I forget. So I do get a fame for winning that. Okay, I'll roll. So I get 2 axes, so that's good. So that'll give me 3, that gives me 5. Okay, and here's Egil. He gets 2 skulls. He knocks me out of there. Oh well, it was worth a shot. Okay, that's it for me. That's all I can do. I really have to really hope that the Automa does not get a pass symbol here, because then they're going to take probably the Warlord. No, they have a lot of buildings too. Both of those are pretty good for the Automa, so we'll see. Okay, it's not a pass symbol. So this is just a regular move. We really haven't had any of these or many at all, but they're going to move 1 unit. I think the only place they can do that is here right now, because every other territory only has 1. So they're going to do it from here. It says try to do it without a leader, but that's not possible. So they're going to move closer to the player. Or no, I'm sorry, to the territory of the fewest units. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just like, why would they move toward the player? And the most resources, they just don't really have any options. Open territories, so they could move to either one of these. I think they would, yeah, eventually they would take the building spots. So they'll take that one there. All right, and that's it. Luckily, I get to pass first, so I got to figure out what will give the Automa more fame to have any prayer of winning, which I don't think I do. But it's worth a shot. So I'm going to take a look at the builder one. And this won't be good for me, that's for sure. I barely control, I think I only control this building now after all that. So I'd only get 1 fame for this, but the Automa would get 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They would get 11 from this. For the Warlord, they get 1 per unit. They get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, I mean, I would only get 3. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's over. The Automa's going to get me, but whatever. I guess I take this one. I don't even know if it really matters. Whatever. I'll just take the builder. It's fine. And the Automa will pass, and they will take this one. Okay, so the creatures are going to move. That one will go there. The bear is going to move toward the player. The bear likes to go toward buildings, so it'll just go there. Yeah, and that's it. So we'll have to harvest and then see who ends up winning. I'm 99% sure the Automa will win. This was a really low fame game. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I couldn't really explore much. They didn't really explore that much. And it just ended up with pretty low fame. But anyway, we'll see what happens. All right. That's all she wrote. I did the harvesting. The Automa got a bunch of fame. I think they got 8 fame from harvesting. They got 15 from their cards and another 3 from their resources. I got, I think, 4 fame from harvesting. I got a whopping 1 from my achievement card. And I think I got like 5 or something from these. Yeah, 5 from my other cards that I had. So yeah, I lost 57 for the Automa to 42 for me. So let's just say I hope I'm a better teacher than I am a player. I kind of can see this coming, I think, from the 3rd year or the 4th year maybe, where they really started to pull away on fame. I got the Altar of Kings out there, but let me tell you, every time I play against the Automa, I build large buildings and it just never works out. They always end up taking them. and I have a hard time getting them back. But I had a lot of fun. I thought early on I was doing okay and I had a chance, but they just, man, they're tough. They can get units fast. They can attack. When they have the creatures helping them, it really provides a great distraction, and I fell for it. I got distracted by the wolf at the beginning, and I kind of trapped that guy there. I went after that Draugr, which I don't think helped me at all, other than to get 2 fame, but it probably would have helped me keep my numbers down to make better use of my resources. And the Automa did what they always do, which is get these little territories everywhere, and they just had a little fame engine going, and they just built it up and overtook me. I mean, I killed a decent number of creatures, and I did get totally lucky with that Valkyrie and got the fame from that, but I just couldn't close territories. I got a decent amount of fame, I think, from winning combats against the Automa, but it just really wasn't enough to overtake it. I think this also might show that the Stag Clan could have a little bit of a handicap against the Automa, because you're already behind in the resources game. The Automa's going to not pay winter costs. So they're always going to have not always, but they have an easy way of having an advantage against you when it comes to resources. And the Stag Clan is, I think, the only clan that at the start of the game has no way of getting bonus resources. They can get bonus fame, and they do have a pretty cool power that I used a few times to draw extra units in from adjacent territories, but they have no way of getting extra resources. Every other clan, I think, either has a card to do it or their innate clan power allows them to do it. And that might have really harmed me here, because I had a couple of winters that were really rough to get through. And the Automa just always had more food than me. So that's why it's difficulty 3. Without the creatures, you're definitely, you're able to stay on task a little better, because you don't have to worry. I mean, there's nothing you can do sometimes with the wolf. Like, if it's going to come in and stop you from getting food, you sometimes have to just take it out, because if you don't get food, you're going to get unrest cards, and then, what's the point? You're losing 5 fame, so that doesn't really help you. So those are the tough decisions you have to make with the creatures, and that's why the creatures are awesome, because they really throw the game for a loop. But in any case, I hope this was helpful to show what a game against the Automa is like. Once you get used to reading these cards, I think it's super easy. You just go through their priorities. Most of the time, they're going to make decisions that are pretty similar to what a player would make. I don't think there were any decisions that the Automa made in this game where I thought, that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, they usually recruited where it made sense. They defended this territory. At the end, they defended this territory. They moved in ways that mostly made sense. They explored pretty aggressively, and I mean, you see, they can be tough. I think I'll probably have to, when I'm not making a tutorial for it, I'll have to try some different strategies, and I don't know, maybe I need to be hyper aggressive. Maybe that's my problem. Get a little more aggressive with the Automa. I had a couple opportunities where I could have upgraded my cards, but I just needed them to cycle and get different cards in my hand. I had one time where I had all recruits. I had one time where I think I had a bunch of moves or something, but no recruits, and I couldn't really make it work. So I ended up using my lore to cycle my cards a lot. So it is what it is. Anyway, I really like this Automa. It's so easy to use, and I compare it very strongly to Scythe, where, I mean, it's not exactly the same kind of game. I mean, that's a real efficiency puzzle type game. But, you have similar things. You have territories and buildings and resource production and, moving around and initiating combat. But when you play the Automa or the solo mode for that game, it's like it's like the Automa's playing a completely different game from you. They ignore almost all the movement rules. They can pretty much just put units anywhere on the board, but the player can't. And then trying to read the cards, it's like, I feel like I had to take like a college course to understand even how it worked. And so when I think of playing that by myself, I think, no, thank you. I'll wait for one day when somebody wants to play it for me. But for this one, I would pick this up anytime and I would play this, because it really feels like I play against another player. It's very convincing. And I like that a lot. And it really doesn't take any extra effort. I put the same things out. I put the map tiles down a little bit differently at the start of the game, but other than that, I don't have to do any extra work. I just have to know how to read the cards. And once you get that, no problem. There are some little rules you have to remember. How do they retreat? What do they prioritize here and there? But you know, you get that with time. So yeah, I really like it. I hope this was helpful. I know it's long. I know it's me probably rambling a lot with my decisions on what to do, but you can see that you do get into it, right? Like the Automa's a good opponent and you really do try your best to beat it. It's not, you don't feel like it's unfair or that you just have no chance. Or that it's too easy. You feel like it's a good opponent and you really want to make your best choice to win. Whether I did that or not, up for debate. But I like it. I'm going to continue using it. I'd love to see it continue to evolve too and get other applications for it. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching.